Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Greater Waco Chamber's 2021 Virtual Membership Celebration. My name is Matt Mitters. I'm the President and CEO of the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce. Under normal circumstances, we would have conducted this event together about a month ago. 600 or 700 of us would have come together to celebrate the Chamber's body of work and to look ahead to the future, the next year, 2021, to anticipate what your Chamber would be active in. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that for quite some time, but the good news is it certainly appears that we're going to have those opportunities in the not too distant future. And we're certainly looking forward to being able to get back together with all of you. Today, we're very fortunate to have a number of companies serving as sponsors for this important gathering. We're very pleased to have Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and TFNB, Your Bank for Life, serving as our presenting sponsors. Other additional important sponsors include Alliance Bank Central Texas, Ascension Providence, Baylor Scott & White Medical Center Hillcrest, Baylor University, Genco Federal Credit Union, JRBT, and McLennan Community College. We'd also like to extend special thanks to Penley Party Productions and Rentals and Loaded Sound for helping to make this event happen. And now I'm pleased to be joined by Rick Tullis, our immediate past board chairman, but our chairman of the board in 2020. And Rick, so pleased to have you today. And let me begin by simply expressing my warmest thanks to Rick for serving as our board chairman during 2020, a year that I think everybody would agree was most challenging and most unusual. Rick, welcome.
Thanks, Matt. And I will start by thanking you and your team. It's been a pleasure to serve, and it really just hasn't been this year. I was thinking about how many years I've been on the board and been a part of this organization, and it really is one of the top organizations in Waco, and I'm so thankful to have been a part of it and played my role this year to be able to help out. And so thank you to you and your team, your professional staff. They really do make a difference, and I'm very, very grateful. I also want to thank my fellow executive board members. Man, you know, we get to spend a lot of time together and with our other partners in the community, the city and the county, the Waco Industrial Foundation, and man, what a great group of leaders. I'm thankful for the collaboration, the spirit of collaboration that exists in this city, and I think it really is part of the secret sauce that helps make Waco successful.
It absolutely is. It pays great dividends.
Yeah.
Thank you for those kind words, Rick.
Yeah.
And again, the professional team cannot say enough nice things about your leadership. We appreciate you, and it was really a challenging year. So
you can try to say some nice things. If there's more nice things you want to say, now would be a good time. I'm just totally.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. You know, let's take a look back at 2020. So you and I will spend a little bit of time, and we'll take a look at 2020, and then in a little bit we'll have Jennifer Manning come up, and she'll join us. And Jennifer is going to be talking to us about 2021, the year that we're currently making our way through. But for now, let's take a look at 2020. Rick, we all kind of did a bit of a retreat and a bit of a hard look at the organization, and you and the executive committee and the leadership team. And we were really coming into 2020 with a great deal of energy. The economy was very, very strong.
Right.
Unemployment was extremely low. Construction activity everywhere. Our downtown going through this incredibly exciting renaissance. Our economic development project pipeline, which we'll talk more about economic development a little bit, very strong. And we as an organization, and you and the executive committee were challenging us to put together a very robust, what we call a program of work, a very robust business plan. We were looking at putting in place and launching a new membership recruitment and retention initiative. We have our brand new economic development strategic plan, Build Greater Waco 2. And we were looking at the need to capitalize that plan for the years 2021 through 2025. Certainly planning to undertake a total resource campaign, which has been so important to the organization through the years, 16th annual total resource campaign. We had conversation about putting together and capitalizing a marketing surge to make sure that we were being as aggressive as we possibly could in the national and global marketplace to continue to get eyes on this marketplace and to continue to attract new business and industry into our community. So there was this very, very substantial body of work that we were looking at, we're preparing to capitalize, we're getting in position to execute, and then 2020 decided that it had different plans for us.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly how the saying goes, but the general that says the battle plan's great until the battle starts, right? And then you've got to be adaptable, you've got to be flexible, you got to know the situation around you and start making different decisions and executing. And that's certainly where we were. I agree. We had some great plans, and we thought we understood our environment. And I will say a lot of that pre-planning really did pay off in some ways we wouldn't have expected, because even as things happened with COVID, because we had such a great grasp on economic development and where we wanted to go, I mean, it did lead to some successes that we totally didn't expect. And so that's certainly important. I think it was also great because in order to build great plans, you've got to build great relationships first. And so we as a community have done that with, through our members and through the collaborative partners I mentioned before. So when the struggle came, it was easy to get together and start solving problems and throw ideas back and forth that we could execute and get things done and support each other in very tough times. So I was very thankful, and looking back, I'm very thankful we had a great plan, because it would have been even that much harder to come through this last year without it.
Right. What was really impressive to me was how seamless everything went in the face of tremendous adversity. In us fully understanding, I think, I'm proud of that as an organization, that this pandemic was really going to levy a toll on our community. Mm-hmm. Our turn as an organization, our pivot as an organization, and the leadership team, our executive committee, our professional team, I mean, we understood it, and we made that turn, and we reinvented ourselves, and we understood how important it was going to be, and turned out to be there for our members and our community and our investors. And I was so impressed with how, as an organization, we were looking ahead to the future. We had all of those plans, and we said, we have to stop right here. And we have much bigger challenges and issues in front of us. And we did completely turn that ship, and we turned it fast.
Yeah, and I can't let go of the thought as well that we saved a lot of chickens. There were a lot of chicken dinners that didn't happen.
Right, that's exactly
because of the chamber,
That's
because
exactly
of COVID. So, there's a few bright spots for some.
Yeah, the chickens are happy with us, are proud of us. We appreciate it. One of the things that you and I talked about, and you really challenged us and you challenged the professional team with, as we made that turn and we anticipated the need to reinvent ourselves to some degree. Everybody knows that this chamber is a signature events or a major events machine.
Right.
I mean, we are literally doing large, robust events, one a month, if not more often than that. And then many other events that we're doing, many other gatherings that are educational in nature to help our small and mid-sized companies and the owners of those companies and the leaders of those companies to be better leaders and to be better managers. Just this whole spectrum of events and activities and programs that we undertake as an organization. And all of that was undertaken in person. And you challenged us. You said, you guys, you're going to have to make that pivot. We used the word pivot an awful lot over this past year, and we're still using it quite a bit. You guys are going to have to make that pivot, and you're going to have to figure out how we do this, how we meet the needs and expectations of our investors and our community through something that was very foreign to us. And I distinctly remember those conversations, and I am immensely proud of our team and how our team, basically we came together and we said, we're going to do whatever it takes, and we're going to continually look at other platforms, find the best platforms we can to be able to conduct these gatherings and to meet the needs and expectations of our members. But you challenged us, and you said, you're going to have to change how you're doing your work right now. And man, the whole team just made that pivot with you and the leadership team.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting case study in history. COVID, for all of its challenges, one of the challenges is bringing, it does force innovation. And we've already seen in business how it's affected some very positively, some are much more challenged.
Right.
But I think the content and the way we interact in the business world is going to be changed forever. I mean, I think there will be some great takeaways in how we deliver content and build value for our members and for our community that, like you said, our team has been able to learn on the fly how to do that, and we'll just keep getting better. I'm excited about that.
Right. There are a couple other things that we should talk about that are very, very noteworthy. One is that this chamber had been very active, continues to be very active in matters of public policy. Mm-hmm. So we're particularly engaged at the state level, particularly engaged at the federal level. Right. And then beyond all of that, we've always prided ourselves on being a collaborator and a convener and being very effective in terms of marketing and communications. That really is the essence, part of the essence of this organization, what we value, and an important part of our overall business plan. That paid great dividends as, again, we realized that we were going to have very significant impacts from the pandemic. And we were in that public policy space. We had this very robust and capable marketing communications team and collaborative in place.
Right. And
it became something that was incredibly important to this organization. And I would say to this community and our partners as COVID began to bear down on us.
Yes.
I was particularly impressed with and incredibly proud of our community, how our community came together. But a few minutes ago, you were talking about collaboration and how this organization works with others, governmental institutions and so many others. And it's a part of what we value as an organization, to be collaborative, to be a partner, and to be a good partner. And the fact that there's a culture and an expectation in this community to work in that way really paid great dividends as well for us as a community as we began that process of really taking into consideration and preparing for and then responding to this whole impact of the pandemic. The city, the county, us, so many of our other partners, the governmental leadership that started convening groups to be continually looking at opportunities and needs and major issues that really paid great dividends for us. Mm-hmm. Strong leadership. We have great leadership in this community.
We do.
Well, unfortunately, as we've been discussing, 2020 had different plans for our organization and for our community. Again, we looked at 2020 with great anticipation, with great energy, a very, very strong business plan. But as Rick said, sometimes, when the battle starts, the plan gets changed, and that certainly happened in 2020. So let's take a few minutes. The team's put together a nice video. Let's take a few minutes and take a look at this organization's response to the pandemic in 2020. In February, it was becoming clear that we had an emerging global health crisis on our hands. In March, your chamber approved and began executing a coronavirus response plan. We understood that our business community, and fellow citizens were going to be hit hard by the pandemic. We steeled ourselves to do everything possible to mitigate the impacts. We understood that units of government would move to take action to shore up our economy. This is where our sustained engagement in public policy and our robust communications capabilities pay great dividends. We immediately and continually engage with our elected officials to help them understand the urgency to respond to the crisis and the need for bold action. We leaned on our convening and communications capabilities to effectively and continually communicate to our members, partners, and others. We immediately established a COVID-19 website presence and continually populated the site with important information, oftentimes practically in real time. We continually communicated with our members, partners, and community. We convened weekly industry sector conference calls to learn in real time of needs and respond to those needs, communicate specifics about programs, and help businessmen and women learn from each other. Like so many others, we made the great pivot to convening and educating via Zoom calls. And when it became clear that your chamber, an events machine, would not be able to conduct events in person for an extended period of time, we learned how to conduct events via Zoom and other platforms, continually improving the quality and value proposition of these important gatherings. We reimagined many of our events and programs to continue to positively impact our members and our community. Throughout this pandemic, our investors and partners have stayed with us, dedicated to ensuring their chamber remains strong, well-funded, and influential, even as they face great challenges within their own operations. They showed the world the Waco way, and for that we are humbled and grateful. Well, Rick, let's take a few minutes and talk about economic development, one of your favorite topics, one of my favorite topics. Yeah. I think a favorite topic of most people that are involved in the chamber and certainly in leadership roles.
Some might say it's why we exist.
Some may very well say it's why we exist. It's a pretty important topic. We spend a lot of time talking about economic development. We have a very strategic and robust economic development strategic plan, our Build Greater Waco 2 Economic Development Strategic Plan. And I think it's fair to say that we have enjoyed quite a few successes, but 2020 in particular was really most unusual. It really was a year of contradictions. At the same time that we're dealing with a pandemic and we're responding to the withering impact of a pandemic on so many of our businesses, our small and mid-sized companies, and doing everything we can as an organization to bring resources to help those folks and to communicate with our elected officials and to help save jobs and help our fellow citizens be able to make their way through this great challenge, something really unusual was happening. We were having a record-setting year in terms of our economic development work and projects.
Yeah. I was thinking about early on in the pandemic when we all ended up having a little bit more time on our hands as we were trying to figure out what was going on and thinking about, well, how's Waco gonna do throughout this pandemic? What's really our strategy as a chamber? And really it came down to those things you said. It's not just developing the economy. It's like, how can we minimize the number of jobs that are lost? You know, how many people can we keep employed? There's gonna be some negative consequences. So how can we minimize the hole that we dig, but also come out of it as quickly as possible? So on the very positive side of that were all the opportunities that came in economic development. And that going into it, we talked about our plans earlier, our budget plans. Our goal was about $100 million in investment. So either on retention expansion type projects or even new businesses coming in projects. Right, 100 million was a good year.
It's a good year.
That's a strong year in our world, historically. And so it's amazing we actually did 4 times a good year.
Exactly.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, $404 million in economic investment in our community. I mean, that is phenomenal. I mean, there are communities not just across the country, but throughout the state of Texas that would kill for that type of success in such a challenging year.
Right. Approximately 1,500 new jobs, retained approximately 1,200 jobs. That's 2,700 workers. Those are people who go out and they buy a car, they buy a house, they shop, right? That is a tremendous lift for our community in the midst of a pandemic. And as other businesses were struggling, we had these businesses that were doing so well. The construction industry benefited and continues to benefit greatly from all of that activity and all of those residual impacts that come from that and all of those jobs. Incredibly important as we continue to make our way through this pandemic. But even beyond that, I mean, what a remarkable year. What a tremendous stimulus for our economy.
Right. So with 11 of those major projects, 8 of those were new companies coming into our market. But just as importantly, and actually in a lot of ways more importantly,
Right.
3 of them are expansions. Those are existing companies that are here that we're expanding their operations and their facilities, and really hope to see even more of that as we go into 2021. More local companies, getting back into the expansion of their operations and growing what they have.
Right. By the way, it's not just over the past year. I think it's important to point out that this has been sustained work. This has been a sustained commitment through the years on the part of leaders of this community and investors in this community and strategic partners in this community to make sure that we have built up a project pipeline and that we have a lot of energy in the national and global marketplace to be able to be in play as a community to attract those investments. But that business retention expansion piece, it can't be overstated because we understand how important it is to keep those companies that we have in our marketplace doing well and prospering.
Yeah, and Matt, you touch on something that I always emphasize the importance of, and that is we really stand on the shoulders of a lot of great leaders and decision makers in Waco's history that have gotten us to this point. I mean, decisions made 70 years ago for setting aside certain pieces of land that, if not for that land, we wouldn't be getting some of these projects now. If not for the decisions being made by future or past city councils and commissioners' courts, and the way we do economic development, putting aside funds. I mean, if those decisions hadn't been made years and years ago, we wouldn't be seeing the success that we're seeing.
Visionaries.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And we have a responsibility to those people to continue to look to the future, which is an important part of our economic development strategic plan.
Yeah. So, we talked about there's 11 different major projects. Can you list those off the top of your head? Do you know them all?
Well, I know most of them, but I don't want to miss one, so I would have to use my cheat sheet. But I'm going to guess.
Why don't you read some off?
I'm going to guess that while we're talking, a number of those companies, if not all of those companies, and all those projects are going to be being outlined for the folks who are watching us today.
Yeah.
But there's no question that Holt Cat was a big win for us. Great company, San Antonio based, filled 2 of the Caterpillar facilities. What a great win for the community, and we have a lot of hope with Holt Cat as we move forward. Tractor Supply, a long-standing employer, we're able to help meet some of their needs and help to continue.
A company that continues to grow.
To grow, absolutely. Aspen Custom Trailers, Canadian company. This is their first U.S. location, so that's very exciting when we start to attract companies from Mexico, like Envasis, and companies like Aspen Custom Trailer from Canada, and they're coming into our market. It really does show. Or Zinc Power, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, as we moved into the latter part of 2019 and started into 2020, we were all talking about, hey, the steel's coming up out of the ground now for Zinc Power, German company.
Right.
So look at our economy and look at the return on the investment and the vision and the body of work that's taken place.
Right.
We have German companies. We have companies that are coming in from Mexico. We have companies coming in from Canada. First U.S. locations right here in our backyard. Good stuff.
Right, and I think that's a great example of how we that have lived in Waco for a while, and we can start seeing ourselves as a different place. I mean, who would have categorized Waco as an international hub for investment for companies from around the world? But that has been a big part of this last year.
It absolutely
and I think it'll continue because of our location, because of what's going on in Texas as a whole, and the assets that we can bring to the table, even regionally, compared to other cities in Texas.
Our incredible physical location in the state. When you look at our budget and you look at our plan of action from the standpoint of economic development, we have for many years, it's been sustained, worked externally. We've been active in the German marketplace. We've been very active nationally, but we have strategically, we have by design sought to attract foreign investment into our community. It's paying great dividends.
Yeah. Another local company that's on the list it's great to see their investment and growth in the community. Texas Metering Device.
Right.
really appreciate what those guys are doing, and also their commitment to using local resources and contractors to get the stuff built.
Right.
So I mean,
Makes a difference.
We were talking about the strong construction market, and we're seeing a lot of benefits to our local employers in that regard. So
Right. Little company that's pretty exciting to all of us, Spacex.
Yeah.
We've been able to help SpaceX along, and then one that was really garnering quite a bit of a buzz as we made our way through the year. What was that company again?
Starts with a A?
Yeah,
something?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, we kind of laughed as we were making our way through bringing Amazon into the community and helping them establish a presence here. We kind of laughed, and because to some degree it was not a very well kept
secret. Worst kept secret in Waco, Texas.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the absolute foundational components of economic development is to hold projects close to your chest as possible, which sometimes frustrates people. They like to ask us, "Hey, I understand this is happening," and they don't quite understand why we're not able to fully disclose those things.
Yeah.
There are reasons for it, right?
Yeah. Hello Bello is another super interesting project to come to town.
Right.
A California company moving to Waco and resources here, and they bring a sales component to their, not just a manufacturing plant, but a sales component,
Right.
and the sales tax generation that comes from that. So it's an exciting add too, and it filled in an existing facility that was already here.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. I mean, there's very little square footage not being used right now. I mean, it goes quick.
Well, it's created one of the challenges that we
Yeah.
have, and we've talked about that as a community, is that the need for space. I mean, that's becoming a challenge for us as a community, and it's impacting our economic development work, or certainly informing the discussions related to our economic development work as we're going forward. Real important part of our conversation moving forward.
Yeah.
Rick, we just really couldn't pass up this opportunity to tell you thank you. It's really it's not big enough to tell you how much we appreciate what you've done for the chamber, not just this past year of 2020 that we know was a year that could never be replicated, or we hope will never be replicated, but even your years before that. And don't think we're letting you out. You're still going to be around, we know that, and your calm and steady leadership and your passion for the greater Waco area and economic development, we know is your baby, and we are thrilled that you're with us, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your work this last year.
Well, that's incredibly generous of you to say. Thank you so much. I really am thankful for this opportunity to serve in this role in the community. I also learned a long time ago that the only way to quit getting asked to do stuff is to be the chairperson at some point, and then they quit asking you to do stuff. So maybe don't ask as many things for me to do in the future, but I'm totally kidding. Hey, let me say, I am excited that you get this opportunity now, and I mean, 2021's already actually started rolling. We're a couple of months into it now, and I'm excited about your leadership and what I've been able to see you do, not only as we've worked together on the executive team, but even as we've started this year in the chamber. So congratulations, I'm excited for you, and yep, I'm here to help any way you need.
Sounds good. Thank you. Please accept this plaque for appreciation.
All right, thank you.
Now I'm so pleased to be joined by Jennifer Manning, our 2021 board chairman, your 2021 board chairman. And Jennifer, thank you so much for your willingness to lead this organization into the future. We have a tremendous opportunity, or set of opportunities ahead of us as we look to 2021. Now, there are some things that we had to put on the shelf last year, right? And we're so excited about being able to bring those back now and to be having the conversations about this robust business plan that we were so excited about last year, and being able to move forward and start putting that in place. But before we talk about 2021, let's take a few minutes and continue our conversation about 2020. And in particular, let's talk about the 2020 Total Resource Campaign.
All right.
You were kind enough to lead the 2020 Total Resource Campaign. And just like we have talked about earlier, about our Build Greater Waco campaign needing to be put off into the future, and we didn't get a chance to start that campaign until probably the latter part of August, when our plans were, let's start this around March of 2020. So we had to push our Build Greater Waco 2 capital campaign into the future. We had to do the same thing with our Total Resource campaign. Last year's campaign was our 16th annual Total Resource campaign. And one of the things that we get a kick out of and we really enjoy and we're also very proud of is that the leaders of the Total Resource campaign like to sort of challenge one another, right? Last year we raised $1 million. The year before we raised 950. And so there's this continual conversation about let's try to take it a little bit higher, which is important because it capitalizes the organization and it helps to pay for the work that we do to build our economy and our community. So we went into 2020, 16th annual Total Resource campaign, $1.4+ million goal, planning to launch that campaign around April, and COVID hit.
Yeah, so it was definitely a challenge. We felt passionate about continuing to have the Total Resource campaign and knowing the economic development that needed to be supported, our businesses that needed to be supported, and how it is just such a big part of the chamber budget. And so you start thinking about how do you make this happen? What are the changes that have to be made? Your favorite word, how do we pivot?
Right.
And we did. And if you know the chamber, you know Nancy Gupton. She is the fearless leader of the Total Resource campaign and definitely started thinking about how we could make it different, how we could still do it right, how we could realize that challenges were going to be there for our employers, they were going to be there for our volunteers, and how do we respect that when we were asking for their support monetarily, asking for their support of time. And I think we really managed to come to a great balance, with respect to the campaign. Definitely, we came in with a $1.4 million goal that was lofty, but definitely reachable. With the amount of events and great activities and programs that the Chamber puts on, we are thrilled with the amount of support that we get every year, and it really helps us make the resource campaign a success. But with COVID, we knew that those events were not going to look the same. Our sponsorships were not going to be the same. There just wasn't the availability, and we couldn't have those times to get together physically and have our food truck showdown and have all of the great tip-off and kickoff events that we have every year. So we made it look different and set a new goal after going through analysis of the programs that we could continue to have. And so we came up with our goal, which was $940,000. So we felt like that was a great goal to reach, but it was also something that was realistic, and I think we managed to meet that.
Oh, you managed to meet it. You actually managed to exceed it. We came in above $960, which is really, I think, a real tribute to our community, how our community responded. As you said a few minutes ago, we had our challenges. We still continue to have our challenges as an organization. We knew when we began that process of going out in the marketplace for the Total Resource campaign to ask the business community to continue to support us, and when we went out into the marketplace to ask the business community and our other partners to support us with our Build Greater Waco 2 capital campaign, we fully understood that many of our businesses were going to have their own set of challenges and their own set of struggles. And I will simply say that I'm just so proud of this community in terms of how this business community and our other strategic partners have continued to support us through the Total Resource campaign and through our Build Greater Waco 2 capital campaign, which we were able to get started, in the latter part of August. It is really remarkable. I think it's also important to give a lot of love to about 140 volunteers or so.
Right. I mean, and I, can't really say enough about those volunteers. We had volunteers that were actively working and had additional responsibilities due to COVID that they had never had before. They were working on, how do they make their own business one that will continue on during COVID? How do they take care of their own employees? And then they were carving out time for us to, engage with them in trying to continue our efforts in the Total Resource campaign. We had volunteers that had lost their jobs or that had been laid off or temporarily laid off. I mean, there were a lot of things that made the volunteer effort even greater this year. And for us to still be able to do Zoom meetings and they would work with us through our technological challenges sometimes, trying to figure out how to do it and make it fun and enjoyable while still moving forward with our goal. I mean, we can't say how much we appreciate them. It was truly, a monumental feat. They came through in the clutch like we knew that they would.
Absolutely.
But it was just something I don't think we could have ever known had we not gone through it together. Right. We have great leaders, obviously, of our volunteer groups. So we had Sam Brown, who you will see as the chair of the Total Resource Campaign for 2021, which will be coming up in April. I highly encourage your participation if you haven't already. We had Dan Ingham with First National Bank of Central Texas. We had Peggy Jezik with the Waco Hilton, and then also Matt Reynolds with Tejas Logistics. And so these are, team members that are with the chamber all the time. They have truly a love for the Total Resource Campaign, and they get it, and they make it so much easier for our volunteers and for our leadership. So to them, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging in there with us for 2020 and making it the success it was. We are excited about 2021, and they
Absolutely.
will be back in the game. 2020 has been a year unmatched by any other. We've had new challenges to face, unknown foes to battle, and our world has been turned upside down by forces outside our control. Through this time, we're reminded that we're stronger together. We're stronger than we believe, and we have greater powers than we know. The Greater Waco community and our chamber need a hero, so that's what we become. Our mission is bold, but surmountable with our team of superheroes. We stand strong together, and we fight. We confidently forge ahead. We focus on goals, not obstacles. TRC campaign grand total is $968,197. Way to go, guys. You are amazing.
Give yourselves another round of applause. What a remarkable accomplishment in the face of clearly a remarkable and very, very challenging year. You folks have come through for the chamber. You came through with flying colors like you always have. You're true superheroes. We love you folks. You came through in a crisis. You saved the day. You made it happen. And as we're looking over the horizon, we just passed an operating budget for next year. This work that you folks have done is going to ensure that we're adequately capitalized to continue to do the great things that we've been doing as a team, all of you, our professional team, everybody collectively, to help make Waco a great, great place to continue to grow our economy. We are on a roll. In the face of a pandemic, we are on a roll, and next year looks incredibly promising. And all of that credit goes to people like you who build your chamber. We love you guys, and we thank you. So we've continued to talk about, the part of the magic of our success as an organization, and part of the magic of the success of this community is the willingness for the community to come together and to support one another and to collaborate. There's no such thing as perfect, right? But we have a wonderful team of volunteers, a wonderful group of businesses, 300 plus businesses that support this organization through the Total Resource Campaign. And Jennifer, thank you so much for your leadership of that campaign. That is not an easy initiative to manage and to lead. And it's probably a little bit more challenging when you have a pandemic, but you did a great job. And
Thanks.
We really, really appreciate it. So with that said, that was 2020. Let's talk about 2021. So you have been the chairperson of this organization now for a couple of months. And we're very excited. We're very hopeful about the future. It looks like we're at a point, thanks be to God and thanks be to our medical researchers and those individuals who are really smart and can come to the aid of a world. It looks like that, we're starting to get some critical mass with a vaccination. It looks like there's some green shoots, the sun's starting to come back out. We may have an opportunity to begin the process of coming back together, which is such an important piece of what a Chamber of Commerce is. But we may have that opportunity sometime in the next couple, 3-4 months or so, maybe a little bit longer, to begin the process of coming back together. So that means that we're going to have an opportunity to start bringing our signature events back online, to start convening together in groups. And when we talk about groups as an organization, we're talking about 400, 500, 600, or in the case of the food truck showdown, 20,000 plus individuals. So we're excited, it's promising. That is something that we're talking about right now and getting in position to look at and to begin to put those major events or signature events back online. Beyond that, in the other body of work that we do, economic development remains our core. So we talked a little bit ago about what a great year we had in 2020. What's 2021 starting to look like, Jen?
Yeah, actually, I'm pleased to say that it is kicking off great, continuing that same momentum. The team has come into 2021 with goals of exceeding what 2020 looked like. And, as Rick mentioned, we were 4 times what our normal goal would be. So to go from $400 million of investment and to say, hey, let's meet that or exceed that, it kind of sounds out of the ordinary. But for those of you that are following economic development in our community, you know that we have a lot in the pipeline. And I am dedicated to beating Rick, and let's exceed our 2020 goals. If we can do that in the pandemic, I think we can exceed that in 2021, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. Chris Collins and her team, they have put together work that was imperative in 2020 and to move forward in 2021 where things are starting to lift a little bit. Maybe we're able to travel a little more when we weren't able to do any of those things in 2020. I think that's going to be huge. There's so many resources, whether it's from Mexico or from Germany, from Canada, that it's just nice to be able to go out and have the energy of a face-to-face meeting in the same room. I think we're all over-Zoomed, and to be able to really develop that energy and maybe move things along a little faster than sometimes it will happen with just a Zoom meeting, I think is great. And that's just good energy for our team and good energy for the chamber, and I think it's going to lead to a lot of success.
So we talk about project pipeline a lot, and I liked the little comment about exceeding Rick. One of the beautiful things about this organization, about its leadership, is there's this healthy competition, and it's really nice because what it says is we want to continually improve, and we want to continually grow this economy and do better and better and better. And it just really gets the professional team motivated. But our 2021 project pipeline right now is impressive, and we do have the potential to have another phenomenal year. So you may have that opportunity to beat Rick, which is kind of the distillation,
the overriding goal.
That overriding goal of beating your predecessor, right? So what else is important as we look to 2021? We talked about a marketing surge. And, it's a fancy way of saying we put together an operating budget, right? And if you look at our economic development program of work, if you look at how through our budget we invest our resources, we put a significant percentage of those available and budgeted resources in support of external marketing and relationship management. We talked about Germany, Mexico. That doesn't just happen. Those are concerted efforts, targeted efforts. So we have historical operating budgets. We have a level of dollars to invest, but we're talking about a marketing surge, taking some dollars out of reserves and placing them in support of an expanded marketing effort. Kind of exciting as we look ahead to the future and be able to take those dollars and to bring them to bear to ensure that we're keeping that pipeline as strong as we possibly can.
Right.
So membership, public policy, we're actively involved in public policy. Our voice is directly connected to the strength of the organization, which means the size of its membership. We're talking about a membership recruitment retention strategy. We need to grow the membership. That's
Absolutely.
something that we have to look forward to as well. What else are you thinking in terms of what we're planning?
Yeah,
as
I mean,
we
I think
look to
that's
the
going to be
future?
a huge part of it is, membership is definitely at the core of everything that we do.
It is.
And I think not only are we looking for new members, but we really want some of our members that, have been with us for so long and maybe there's changes in leadership or new leaders coming up within the organization. We really want to encourage you to reach out, and, it doesn't have to reach out with this huge plan or details. We will come to you. But just if you have an idea or you have a leader that you want to plug in to the different things that the chamber is bringing to the greater Waco area, we just strongly encourage you to do that. I think having those, it is about the relationships and it is about the connections, and that benefits our members and it benefits our chamber and the support that we're giving to our business community.
Well, in this industry, the folks that I hang out with, we like to talk about our members as the lifeblood of the organization, how important our members are. And it's going to be very important to the organization, and our community is growing. It can certainly sustain this. It can certainly support this. But it's going to be very important for us to continue to expand the number of investors, the members, if you will, that are supporting this organization and are becoming actively involved in the organization. It's so important that we're able to lean on our volunteers. So in addition to growing our membership base and strengthening that voice in terms of public policy, we had a really great response to our Build Greater Waco 2 capital campaign, even though we got out of the gate months late last year.
That's right, that's right. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize Lauren Schwartz and her leadership in the Build Greater Waco campaigns. She was instrumental in our first campaign and was so generous to come back on for Build Greater Waco 2. She is, continued to be a leader in the chamber even once she had gone through the leadership steps all the way to chair. And so we so appreciate that. And
Absolutely.
her collaboration with the chamber continues, and that has led to the success as well. We're excited to see what 2021 brings. We have a lot of great members that continue to provide their support, believe in the chamber, believe in the community, collaborate with us every single day, and we couldn't do it without you. We know that it is still not back to normal per se, and we know that it is, definitely a sign of your true support when you continue to do that through difficult times.
Well, Jennifer, again, thank you so much for your willingness to ascend and take on the leadership of the chamber through 2021. As you said a few minutes ago, we're going to continue to still have some challenges. This sort of hangover, this residual effect of the pandemic is still with us. We're hopeful about the future. As it stands right now, I mean, we're putting the pedal to the floor right now, and we're anticipating that we're going to be able to get back to, essentially the way that we were operating pre-COVID as we move into the latter part of the year, right? We talked about that with signature events and so forth, pushing hard on the economic development side, looking at bringing additional resources in to support our economic development work. We're committed to building this organization, expanding its membership. We're going to remain active in public policy because we know that public policy decision makers impact the environment in which our business community operates, and they control resources, which are so important in terms of us being able to take those resources, bring them into this community and put them to work for this community. So it's going to be an exciting year, and
It is.
it's going to be your year.
It
Thank you
is.
for your willingness to lead.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm super excited about it, and I can't imagine doing it with a better group.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time to join us for our 2021 virtual chamber celebration. We really do appreciate your support of this organization, your Chamber of Commerce. And I just want to take one more minute to express my warmest thanks to Rick Tullis for his leadership in 2020, an incredibly challenging year, and Jennifer Manning for her willingness to lead this organization as we move forward into 2021. I would be remiss if I didn't take a few minutes to simply say, let's continue to work together to support our small business community. We have so many businesses that have been severely impacted by this pandemic in the past year plus, and they need our help and they need our support. And frankly, we need them because they add so much to the fabric of this community. So let's not forget to reach out and to help them and to support them as we go forward. Yes, it looks like the sun's beginning to come out. It looks like better days ahead, but they still need our help. And I just want to make sure that our small businesses and our medium-sized businesses that have supported this organization for so long, I want to make sure that those businesses, and more broadly, those businesses in our community understand that while we have a tendency to talk a lot about economic development, and there are good reasons for it, because that work really has a trickle-down effect that really lifts up our small and medium-sized companies. We have a tendency to talk a lot about that work, but I want to make sure you all understand that the lion's share of the work of this organization is for you. We work hard on your behalf every day to help you folks prosper. And when we got into the midst of this pandemic, I want to assure you the small and medium-sized companies in our community were at the top of the list of our conversation. And we made a hard move and a fast move to come to your aid and to help you and to help your employees and to help our fellow citizens. You matter to us. You're the lion's share of the businesses in this community, and we thank you for your support as well. Once again, I'd like to take a few minutes to express our warmest thanks to our sponsors. Again, we cannot do the work that we undertake on your behalf without you helping to support this organization. We appreciate it so much. Our presenting sponsors, Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and TFNB, your bank for life. Other additional sponsors so important to this event: Alliance Bank Central Texas, Ascension Providence, Baylor Scott & White Medical Center Hillcrest, Baylor University, Genco Federal Credit Union, JRBT, and McLennan Community College. And also, let me express my thanks to Penley Party Productions and Rentals and Loaded Sound for helping us make this event a reality today. Once again, folks, thank you so much for your support of your Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce. It's an honor to serve. Thank you.